Heartwarming revelation. Incredible pregnant wife transforms life with just $20 while billionaire seeks to undervalue her talent. Tom clenched his fists as he stared at another eviction notice, the edges crumpling in his grip. The weight of the world pressed against him, and all he could feel was the rapid thump of his heart echoing the desperation in their small Midwestern home. Across the room, Lucy danced around like a ray of sunshine, her pregnant belly rounded enough to make each twirl a little shaky, but her spirit soared. She was buzzing with so much hope, he feared it might evaporate with one more heavy bill. "Look what I made today," she exclaimed, brandishing a handful of vibrant flower crowns woven from thin twigs and fabric scraps she'd salvaged. They were beautiful, simple yet intricate, and he couldn't help but smile as she beamed at him. "Lucy, they're stunning," he replied, but the shadow of worry lingered in his eyes. "But we still need to pay the rent and the hospital bills." "Just hear me out," she interrupted, her enthusiasm unfazed. "I'm going to the farmer's market this weekend. I'll take these and see if I can sell them." Just $20 spent on supplies could change everything. He wanted to resist her idea. There was too much at stake already. Yet there was an undeniable sparkle in her eyes that lit a flicker of hope in his chest. The morning light melted into the horizon, breathing life into the town as Lucy set up her stand, her creations glistening in the dawn's glow. One by one, townsfolk drifted by. A wealthy couple scoffed, their voices dripping with condescension, but a farmer's wife, wearing dirt-stained overalls, stopped to admire Lucy's art. "Darling, these are lovely," the woman exclaimed, and for the first time Tom felt the stirrings of hope swell in his chest, cascading through the crowd like a ripple. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Days turned into endless nights, and her flower crowns brought in money. Not enough to save them, but enough to keep the eviction notice off their front door for another month. However, Tom's heartbeat quickened with anxiety whenever he imagined their rising debt. Just then, a businessman, bathed in wealth and arrogance, approached Lucy at her stand, his eyes gleaming with the promise of a deal that felt too good to be true. It was clear he saw her as a lesser being, yet the proposal he made dulled Tom's hope like a storm cloud. Lucy felt a pang in her heart, sensing the walls closing in. "What if I said yes?" she whispered, fear lacing her words. Tom's chest tightened. How could they risk everything on the fleeting approval of those who doubted them? Yet there was something fierce in Lucy's spirit, a burgeoning fire he'd never seen before. As tension crackled in their home, their dreams hung by a thread, and the storm of judgment from others swirled around them. Every moment held weight, each bill a reminder of their struggle. Would their love withstand this pressure? With her courage igniting a change, the town's intrigue grew. But would it be enough to fortify them through the fierce storms that lay ahead? Together, they stood on the precipice, teeth gritted against a fierce tide of inequality and bias. Just as it seemed the last door began to open for Lucy, fate struck. The skies darkened, and they faced an unforeseen challenge that sent ripples through their small community. Was their bond strong enough to weather the storm, and amidst the shadows creeping into their lives? How would they fight for the future they'd dreamed of? As the sun dipped below the horizon the next evening, casting a golden glow over their neighborhood, Tom paced the living room, his mind racing with worry. Lucy was at the market again, confident and hopeful, but he could feel the tension tightening his chest. The businessman had come back and he was relentless, pushing Lucy to accept an ill-conceived partnership. Then the door creaked open. Lucy stepped inside, cheeks flushed with excitement, a ribbon of sunlight capturing her light. "Tom, you won't believe what happened today," she exclaimed, almost breathless. Her eyes sparkled with the promise of good news. "Did you sell more crowns?" he asked, trying to sound hopeful, though the dread lingered behind his smile. "No, even better. Mr. Masters offered to sponsor a market stall for me, a whole booth for free. He wants to make a deal." She bounced on her toes, unable to contain her joy. But Tom's heart sank further. Lucy, I don't like the sound of that. What does he want in return? Just a small percentage of the profits, Lucy shrugged, her excitement undeterred. But it's a chance to showcase my work. Tom, we could finally get out of this mess. Or we could find ourselves in over our heads, he countered, trying to mask the fear that gripped him. What if he makes you work long hours? What if you get taken advantage of? She stepped closer, concern pooling in her brown eyes. I know it's a risk. But do we really have a choice? It feels like something is finally happening for us. His heart broke as he watched the hope drain from her face when he hesitated. It wasn't that he didn't believe in her talent. It was the menacing shadows of doubt and anxiety crowding their reality. I just don't want you to get hurt, he whispered. But this is my dream, Tom. Lucy shot back, her voice trembling ever so slightly. It's our dream. He clenched his fists, wrestling with the uncertainty that gnawed at him. Suddenly, their lives, once filled with laughter and light, now swirled in a haze of responsibility and pressure. Could he really risk everything they had fought for? I wish I could just make it easy for us. I wish I could fix this, he sighed, the weight of despair heavy on his shoulders. Lucy considered him for a moment, her brow knitting with determination. She reached for his hand, squeezing tightly. Let's take this chance together. We both know what's at stake, but standing still is worse than moving forward, even if it's scary. Tom felt the warmth radiate from her touch, threading through the cracks in his anxiety. Okay, he finally replied, his voice barely above a whisper. But we have to set boundaries with him. If he starts to take more than he gives, we pull back. Deal? Deal, she beamed, her spirit like a burst of sunshine dispelling the clouds above. They could sell together, thrive even, but the scars of their struggles remained fresh. As they prepared for another day at the market, excitement rippled through Lucy. The next morning held promise. Their first big chance. Would this be the moment everything clicked into place? But as realistic concerns crept back, Tom couldn't shake a nagging feeling deep down. What if the partnership turned sour? The future hung in the balance, and every moment counted. Just as their hopes began to intertwine with the town's support, a chilling wind blew through their community, stirring up gossip and jealousy among those who once supported them. In the distance, shadows coalesced, threatening to suffocate the spark they had ignited. Would love and determination be enough to keep them afloat? As Lucy prepared her stall for the next market day, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more ahead, more excitement and danger waiting just around the corner. The morning sun broke through the clouds, pouring golden light over the market. Lucy stood in front of her newly set-up stall, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and anxiety. She arranged the crowns of flowers she'd crafted with care, each one a bloom of her dreams. The vibrant colors danced in the sunlight, attracting a few curious onlookers. Tom arrived just as the market began to fill with laughter and chatter. His hands trembled slightly, still burdened by the weight of uncertainty. He met Lucy's eyes, and for a brief moment, the worries faded as he saw her infectious smile. It looks amazing, Lucy. You've really put your heart into this, he said, forcing his own smile to match hers. Thanks, Tom. I can't wait to see what everyone thinks, she replied, a sparkle in her eye. But that twinkle dimmed slightly when a shadow drifted over the stall. Mr. Masters appeared suddenly, his presence cut through the light-heartedness of the moment like a knife. Good morning. Ready for a big day? His smile was polished, but Tom could sense a sharp edge beneath it. I swung by to see how the booth looks. We'll go over some marketing strategies after the market rush. Lucy's face lit up with enthusiasm, but Tom felt a tightening in his chest. We need to keep our arrangement clear, Mr. Masters, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. Today is about Lucy's work, not business meetings. Mr. Masters chuckled, dismissing Tom. Of course. I just want to help you both succeed. He turned his gaze back to Lucy, who was already chatting with a couple of customers. Seeing her in the light of her passion, Tom couldn't help but feel pride swell in his chest. This was her moment. As the hours rolled on, the stall began to buzz with interest. People stopped to admire the crowns, asking questions, laughing, and even sharing stories about celebrations. Lucy blossomed, feeding off the energy, her laughter ringing through the air. Tom found himself captivated, watching her face light up with each smile and compliment. But he couldn't shake the feeling of unease that settled deeper as the day progressed. At first, it was merely a whisper in the back of his mind, but as Mr. Masters kept appearing, offering unsolicited advice and suggestions, it began to morph into something more palpable. Near midday, a smooth-talking man in a fine suit approached their stall, his eyes glimmering with ulterior motives. "I heard you have some unique pieces here. I'd love to collaborate. Bring my network into the mix," he suggested, nodding towards Mr. Masters as if seeking approval. Tom's instincts flared. "Thank you, but we're focusing on Lucy's vision right now," he said sharply, hoping to stand firm, yet fearing that the walls were closing in. "Oh, come on," the man laughed, brushing off Tom's hesitance. "With my resources and Mr. Masters backing you, you could make a fortune. Just imagine." "What I imagine is losing the heart of this business," Tom shot back, taking Lucy's hand tightly as if to ground himself. She studied him, surprise etched across her face. "This is a small town, and sometimes we need to stick together," Lucy finally said, her voice steady yet soft. "Tom, I want to stay true to my art, but I also want our future to be bright." The dilemma hung thick in the air, each decision a fork in the road stretching before them. She bit her lip, looking torn. Tom felt the pull of love but also wished to shield her from the storm brewing. Her dream was radiating in that moment, and it scared him to think of letting anything taint it. Just then, from across the market, he noticed whispers gathering like storm clouds around them. The kind of whispers that could ignite sparks of jealousy and resentment. What were they saying? He couldn't hear, but he could see the pointed fingers and scowls. "Lucy, maybe we need to be careful about who we let in," Tom said softly, even as his heart clenched at the sight of her disappointment. But Lucy, determined, took a deep breath and faced him. "Tom, what if this is just the first step toward something amazing? I believe in us." The tension was palpable, a dangerous game of hope against realism. Just as Tom opened his mouth to respond, the market's ambiance shifted, and an unexpected presence loomed. Amidst chatter and laughter, an ominous shadow crept closer. Had they stirred something too powerful to handle? What awaited them in this tempest of ambition and doubt? Would they rise together, or fall into the depths of a reality they couldn't escape? Lucy turned to face the nearby crowd, her heart racing as she caught snippets of the whispered gossip. The smiles that once graced her stall now morphed into curious glances and raised eyebrows. It was as if a dark cloud had rolled over their joyful day, transforming the once inviting atmosphere into something thick with scrutiny. "Tom," she began, hesitation evident in her voice. But before she could finish, the man in the suit leaned in closer, his eyes gleaming with ambition. "I can see your potential, Lucy. You could be the next big thing. Think about it. A partnership could elevate you to heights you've only dreamed of." Tom's grip on her hand tightened. He felt a storm brewing, one that could erode the foundation they hadn't even begun to build. "We're not interested," he stated firmly, feeling his voice waver slightly. This wasn't just business. This was Lucy's passion, her heart laid bare before them. She glanced at Tom, her expression torn. Part of her wanted to push forward, to embrace the dream dancing just out of reach. But before she could finish, Mr. Masters jumped into the fray with a bright grin. "Lucy, listen. Sometimes a little help is needed," he said, brushing off Tom's concern like it was dust on his shoulder. "Just consider what we could achieve together." The words hung in the air like smoke, thick and suffocating. Tom wanted to shout, to protect Lucy's vision at all costs, but he sensed the pull of temptation gnawing at her resolve. Lucy shook her head, looking between them, her brow furrowed. "I appreciate your enthusiasm, but I don't want to compromise what I stand for." "Compromise?" The suited man chuckled dismissively. "Think of it as an investment in yourself. That's the beauty of making deals. It's about growth." But Tom saw a flicker of doubt in Lucy's eyes, and it scared him. Would she pay the price for success? He felt the weight of their dreams pressing down on him, and in that moment, he held on to her like she was his lifeline. This isn't just about growth. It's about who you are, Lucy. Don't lose that in a rush for recognition. The words seemed to reach out to her, but before she could respond, the crowd surged forward, all eager to squeeze past one another, hoping to catch a glimpse of something special. Laughter flared, and a child shrieked with joy as they dashed between booths. And in that chaotic moment, the palpable tension around Lucy and Tom diluted slightly, if only for a heartbeat. In the distance, the sun began to dip, casting golden rays even as shadows grew longer, echoing the conflicts at hand. Lucy finally found her voice. I want to succeed. I want to share my art with the world, but not at the cost of my values. Tom's heart swelled with pride. She wasn't backing down. Yet the murmurs from the gathered crowd didn't stop. They whispered like snakes, ready to strike with jealousy and ambition. Let's just do our best today, Lucy continued, trying to hold on to the bright thread of hope. There's still time, and if this feels wrong, we can step back. Mr. Masters, sensing his grip loosening, forced a smile that felt pasted on. All right, but keep my offer in mind. Opportunities like this don't come around often. As the day wore on, Lucy engaged with customers, her passion igniting once more. But Tom still felt the tension coiling around them, uncertain of what was left to unravel. A sense of dread lingered, whispering that their tiny market venture could be overshadowed. When twilight cloaked the sky, Lucy turned to Tom, brimming with determination, yet worry clouded her eyes. What if I'm wrong? What if this is the beginning of the end? Tom took a deep breath, weighing the moment. You're not wrong for wanting more, Lucy. You're just at a crossroads. But the weight of what lay ahead still loomed heavy. Would their dreams uplift them, or would they find themselves lost in a pursuit that threatened to consume everything they held dear? With the night settling in and their hopes hanging in the balance, Tom couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge was only beginning, one that they could only face together. What lay ahead for them was still unknown, but they were bound to find out. Was this truly their moment to shine, or merely the prelude to a dramatic fall? Lucy's hands trembled slightly as she wiped down her booth for the last time that evening, the sun's final rays slipping away like the dreams of grandeur that had danced so enticingly earlier. Tom watched her, his heart heavy with a mix of admiration and concern. She had poured her soul into her art, and now doubts shadowed her bright spirit. Let's get some air, he suggested, leading her away from the thrumming noise of the crowd and the lingering tension that cloaked them like a fog. The cool night wrapped around them, offering a stark contrast to the simmering anxiety from the market. Once they reached a quieter corner, he turned to her. I know it feels overwhelming right now, but you are talented, and your vision is worth protecting. She looked up at him, her eyes shimmering like the stars beginning to pierce the sky. But what if I'm taking too long, Tom? What if all this passion and hard work just leads to nowhere? His heart ached for her. You won't know unless you try. Remember why you started this in the first place. He paused, searching her face for the fire that had ignited her dreams. This isn't just about getting noticed. It's about sharing your story, touching lives. Lucy exhaled, the weight on her shoulders lifting just a fraction. When I paint, it's my way of connecting to the world, but I can't shake the thought that I might be messing it all up by holding on too tight. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. Perhaps holding on doesn't mean you can't improve or grow, he suggested, stepping closer. It means you'd be doing it on your own terms, and that's more valuable than any glittering offer from someone like Mr. Masters. Lucy glanced down, contemplating his words. But what if I miss out? What if something great could come from him? Then it'll come without sacrificing who you are. You have something real, Lucy. Don't let anyone tell you it's not enough. As the breeze swirled around them, their thoughts drifted back to the chaos of the market, and uncertain murmurs still echoed in Lucy's mind. Yet staring into Tom's unwavering eyes, assurance began to seep in like the night sky darkening around them. Maybe you're right, she said softly, a flicker of hope igniting in her chest. Perhaps I need to remember why I do this. The people who actually love my art. She caught herself, a smile hinting at her lips. Their reactions. Those little moments light me up more than any grand deal could. Tom grinned, feeling her turn toward the light again. Yes, that's it. Keep your focus there. Just then, the laughter from a nearby group of friends reached them. They were chatting about art, their words filled with excitement that reminded Lucy of why she started her journey with paintbrush in hand. It warmed her heart. I think I can see it differently now, she confessed, leaning closer to him. I don't need to dive into something that makes me uncomfortable. I just have to be patient and true to myself. Tom nodded with relief, but as they turned to head back to the booth, a cold rush surged through the air. Distant sirens wailed through the night, drawing their attention. What's that? Lucy asked, her brow furrowing. Tom squinted into the distance. Looks like something's happening near the market, maybe a fight or an accident. Fear gripped Lucy. We should check. What if... Let's go, he said, a sense of urgency in his voice. They hurried toward the commotion, worry gnawing at their insides. With each step they took, questions flooded Tom's mind. Why was the atmosphere shifting again? In the dim light, what lay beyond the next corner could change everything. Could it lead to a revelation or another challenge? Just as they rounded the corner, Lucy felt the warmth of hope flicker with uncertainty once more. What if we never escaped the shadows? Before Tom could answer, an unexpected sight captured their gaze. Lucy gasped as they rounded the corner, the chaos before them alive with flashing lights and shouting voices. A small crowd had gathered, faces tense with concern, their breath hitching in the chill night air. What happened? Tom asked, tension in his voice. He grabbed Lucy's hand tightly, anchoring her amidst the uncertainty. In the center of the gathering, a young woman knelt, cradling a man who had collapsed. His face was pale, eyes fluttering, and patches of crimson marred his shirt. Paramedics rushed in, urgency etched in every movement. People were crying out, their voices a blend of panic and hope, merging into a symphony of fear that hung heavy in the air. "Someone call 911!" a lady shouted, and that seemed to pull the crowd tighter around the scene, as if their collective energy could somehow stave off the worst. Tom's grip on Lucy tightened further, his heart racing. We need to stay back. Lucy felt torn, a part of her wanting to help, to jump into action, while another part recoiled from the chaos. But he needs help. Can't we? Lucy, just let the professionals do their job, Tom urged softly. We can't do anything right now. Just trust them. He pulled her closer, even though she could feel her heart pounding against her chest. She nodded, breathing deeply as she took in the scene. Even amidst the fear, the raw humanity was palpable. People were both worried and drawn to help. A man offered his jacket for warmth, while a woman stood close, murmuring soothing words, something about "stay with us" to the fallen individual. It struck a chord within Lucy, a reminder of why she painted, how art could heal wounds unseen. Look at how everyone is coming together, Tom said, his grip still firm on her hand. What if this doesn't end well, she muttered, battling her own fears. He turned to her, eyes earnest. We have to hope. Hope is powerful, Lucy. Remember? As they watched, the paramedics began to work swiftly, checking vitals, pushing back the crowd to keep space around the man. Lucy felt tears prick at her eyes. Life hanging in the balance always carried weight. Gazing at the young woman still cradling his head in her lap, she felt something shift within her. A connection sparked. In that moment, the noise faded into a distant hum, and she found herself thinking of her own art. Those late nights spent with a brush in hand, the way each stroke released a piece of her soul. The warmth of laughter in galleries when someone reached out and touched her canvas, bringing joy into their lives through her visions. Tom, she whispered, what if instead of worrying, I focused? His brow furrowed. Focused on what? On what I can create, what I can share. Even from here. Art can inspire hope too. Maybe I can paint this moment afterwards, capture the essence of coming together. He smiled, a light returning to his eyes. That's the spirit. Channel your emotions into something beautiful. Just as she embraced that concept, a paramedic stood up, giving a thumbs up to the crowd, and relieved murmurs washed over them like a gentle tide. Lucy felt a surge of energy run through her. He's okay? She almost couldn't believe it. Let's hope. But we need to remember we will face darkness again, Lucy. Tom's voice turned serious. It's how we harness it, how we respond that matters. As the crowd began to disperse, Lucy's thoughts raced ahead, and she turned to Tom, a newfound determination lighting her eyes. I want to paint for people, not just in galleries. I want to reach them out there. I can't wait for permission. Before Tom could respond, a figure emerged from the shadows, a cloaked man with paint-specked hands and an enigmatic smile. He caught Lucy's eye, lifting a paintbrush, beckoning her forward. Do you want to see what comes next? He asked, a glint of mischief in his gaze that ignited both curiosity and trepidation within her. Lucy hesitated, her heart racing as the cloaked man's invitation hung in the air. Tom squeezed her hand tighter, the uncertainty flooding back. What do you think he means? He whispered, his voice wavering between caution and intrigue. I don't know, she replied, her gaze locked on the stranger. The world around her melted away, leaving just the two of them standing amidst the faint wail of sirens and murmurs of relief. Maybe he knows something. Maybe he can teach me. The thrill of possibility coursed through her. She took a step forward. Lucy, wait, Tom called, panic threading his voice, but it was too late. She was already moving. As she approached the figure, Lucy could see the details of his face, lines etched from years of experience, eyes sparkling like he held 1,000 secrets. What do I have to do? She asked, breathlessly, feeling a mix of exhilaration and fear. Just follow me, he said, a welcoming smile breaking through his enigmatic demeanor. He led her away from the crowd, weaving through a maze of illuminating streetlights until they reached a secluded alley, a hidden world buzzing with art and creativity. The walls were alive with color, wild strokes and vivid displays of emotion. It was the heart of the city she had never known, where art smashed through the ordinary, reminding her of the potential within her own spirit. What is this place? She breathed in wonder. This, he said, gesturing around, is where stories are born. Each stroke on these walls tells a tale, just like the ones in your heart. His eyes glinted as he spoke, and for a moment, Lucy felt seen, truly seen. Excitement sparked within her. Can I really create something like this? Something that can touch people? More than that, he replied. You already have that power. What you saw today, the panic, the hope, the coming together, it's all inspiration. It lives in you. You saw that? She asked, her heart fluttering at the thought. Of course. You've always had the gift, Lucy. Now it's time to harness it. He handed her a paintbrush, its handle warm and worn from use. Create something from your soul. Turn pain into beauty, fear into hope, and let others feel it through you. Lucy held the brush, feeling its weight. She realized this was more than just art. It was a call to action. But how will I reach people out there? She asked, doubt creeping in again. The man smiled knowingly. You'll find out. Trust the process. She stepped toward a blank wall, brain buzzing with thoughts and emotions. For the first time, she didn't fear the blank canvas. She craved the freedom to express what was bottled inside. She dipped the brush in vibrant colors, letting instinct take over. The lines flowed as easily as her heartbeat. The vivid imagery of the crowd around the fallen man came to life. Tom watched from a distance, worry lingering in his eyes, but he could see Lucy transform in front of him. She was letting go, pouring every bit of emotion she felt into the paint. Then, amid her focus, doubt bubbled up in her gut. What if it wasn't enough? What if the world outside didn't want to truly feel what she created? The man stepped beside her, not touching, but close enough for her to sense his presence. Remember, Lucy, you don't need everyone to understand. Just one heart. Your work is a bridge. You're capable of reaching far beyond what you can imagine. Keep going. It's what you were meant to do. His words wrapped around her like a warm embrace, and she nodded, pushing the doubts aside. With every stroke, she painted from the depths of her heart a visual promise of resilience and hope. And in that moment of creation, the street outside fell silent. Lucy felt the tides turning, her world expanding with possibilities. As she stepped back, admiring her work, she noticed the shadows starting to gather around them. Other artists drawn to her energy began to come forward, curious about the mark she was leaving. "Whoa," one of them exclaimed. "This feels alive. What's your name?" Before she could respond, the cloaked man turned to her with a knowing smile. "Looks like you're going to have an audience, Lucy. Ready for what comes next?" Her heart raced as anticipation shot through her. What if this was the beginning of something much bigger? Suddenly, the sound of sirens pierced the tranquility, echoing through the alley. Lucy felt her heart sink for a moment. Will this be an echo of the past, or a new beginning, she wondered, as uncertainty mingled with excitement. But before she could think further, another figure emerged, a woman with determination in her step, and an unwavering gaze. "What did you find?" she asked, curiosity lacing her question, as if Lucy held the key to a mystery yet to unfold. Lucy felt the weight of the woman's gaze, a mixture of challenge and kinship in her question. It was as if she were asking for more than just a name. She wanted to dig deeper, to understand the essence of what Lucy had just begun. Lucy hesitated, unsure of how to frame her feelings or the chaotic paint splattered on the wall. But instinctively she found her voice, spurred by an outpouring of emotion. "I found my voice. I found a way to express everything I've felt today." The woman nodded, her bright eyes sparkling with interest. "You're brave to dive into those feelings. I'm Ava," she introduced herself, stepping forward, closely inspecting Lucy's work. "It's powerful. It pulls you in." Thanks," Lucy mumbled, her cheeks warming at the compliment. The adrenaline of painting still coursed through her, and she felt emboldened by this unforeseen connection. "Can I ask you something? How long have you been creating?" Ava pressed, her voice encouraging. "I haven't, at least not like this," Lucy admitted, taking a deep breath. "I've always felt it, but I never really let it out. Today changed everything. I think—" She paused, glancing at the cloaked man, who watched intently from the sidelines. "I think it's time to let go of everything that's holding me back." Ava smiled knowingly. "There's magic in that. It's terrifying. But that's where growth happens. You have the potential to inspire people, just like he said." She motioned toward the cloaked man with a nod of her head. "Have you ever thought about sharing your art with the world, not just in this alley?" The question lingered in the air, the weight of it pressing on Lucy's chest. "I want to. I'm scared, but I want to reach out." "Then you've got to keep going. The city, people, need to feel what you're feeling. If you don't share it, it stays untold," Ava encouraged, her voice filled with conviction. "Maybe I should organize a show," Lucy mused aloud, her mind racing with possibilities. "Exactly," Ava jumped in, excitement sparkling in her eyes. "A pop-up exhibition. Gather people in a space where they can see, feel, and hopefully connect with your story." Lucy's heartbeat quickened. The idea held a flood of challenges, but the prospect of sharing her art, a chance to create a ripple of connection, fueled her. "I have no idea how to even start," she said, almost breathless. Ava grinned, radiating warmth. "I can help with that. I know a few folks who have organized events. We'll get the word out and make it happen." The cloaked man stepped closer, his presence grounding. "Not everyone will understand, Lucy," he warned gently. "Art is a mirror. Some will love what they see, and others will turn away. But you must be braver than your doubt." Lucy nodded slowly, the fear mixing with a surge of determination. She could feel something transformative brewing inside of her, ignited by this unexpected camaraderie. Tom stepped forward as if drawn by the vibrant energy surrounding them. "Lucy, what's this about an exhibition?" he asked, light concern tainting the edges of his words. She turned to him, excitement bubbling up. "A chance to share my art. to show what I feel. What do you think? I think it's incredible, Tom replied, though uncertainty flickered in his eyes. But it'll be a lot of work. I know, Lucy interjected, her voice steady. But I want this. I feel like it could change everything. You're ready for that? He asked, searching her face for clues. I have to be, she said firmly, her heart racing with purpose. The city outside roared back to life, churning with energy, as if echoing her commitment. Ava chimed in. Then let's do it. From the chaos, let your voice rise. There's a spark here. Let's turn it into a flame. As the darkness transformed into a vibrant canvas of dreams and possibilities, Lucy took a deep breath. This was just the beginning. But just as hope flooded the alley, a shadow loomed. The cloaked man's expression shifted, the light vanishing from his eyes, replaced with a shadow of concern. Beware the murmurs of doubt that may rise. They are often louder than you think. And sometimes they sound like familiar voices. Lucy's heart dropped. What did he mean? The air was heavy with unanswered questions as she glanced at Tom and Ava, their encouragement still pulsing around her. Did I consider everything? She wondered, the anticipation mingling with an unsettling dread. The promise of her choice danced in the air, but the curtain of fear began to creep in, whispering a warning that refused to leave her ear. The alley felt electric, charged with unspoken truths. Lucy glanced back at her painting, the vivid colors swirling in chaotic harmony. It seemed to pulse with a life of its own, mirroring her internal struggle. What if they don't understand? She thought, her heart racing. Lucy! Tom's voice pulled her from her thoughts. His brow was furrowed, concern flickering in his eyes. You all right? I'm fine, she replied, forcing a smile despite the uncertainty that bubbled inside her. But as she looked over at Ava and the cloaked man, she could sense that this journey was more monumental than she had imagined. Ava stepped closer, determination etched across her face. Let's start small. How about we gather a few friends, maybe some local artists, to sit down and brainstorm ideas? You share your story, and we can figure out how to present it. Lucy nodded, appreciating Ava's proactive approach. That could work. Having a team would make things easier. Her voice trailed off, tinged with an undercurrent of doubt. And don't forget the impact, Ava added, her voice fervent. Art has a way of connecting people. You never know who might walk in and feel moved by what you create. Right, Tom said, crossing his arms as he leaned against the wall. And if you put your heart into it, that'll shine through. It's all about honesty. Lucy felt a flicker of warmth at their support, but the cloaked man cleared his throat, once again pulling her focus. The voices of doubt, Lucy. They will come, not just from others, but from within you. Be prepared. What if they're right? Lucy asked, her voice barely above a whisper. What if nobody cares? Ava's expression softened. That fear is normal, but don't let it drown your dreams. You'll find your voice in the midst of it. Even if only one person relates to your art, it's worth it, right? It was like a lifeline thrown into a stormy sea. Lucy felt the weight lifting slightly. You're right, she breathed, reveling in the comfort of camaraderie. One voice can spark many others. I need to remember that. Exactly, Ava exclaimed, her excitement infectious. Let's put a date on the calendar, start targeting some locations, figure out what you'll need. What about the title? Tom interjected, his eyes brightening. It needs to capture what you're trying to say. Lucy pondered the question, tasting possibilities like different colors on her palette. Maybe something about transformation. Or awakening? She mused. Awakening is strong. It suggests change, growth. Definitely fits, Ava chimed in. What about awakening the colors within? Lucy felt a rush of enthusiasm. I like that. It feels personal but universal. Exactly what I want to convey. But the cloaked man remained silent, his expression serious. The stillness amplified the nagging feeling in the back of her mind. What is it? Lucy asked, her voice quivering slightly. The path of awakening is riddled with trials, he said finally, his tone low. "You must protect your heart from harsh judgments. But know this," he continued, pointing at the splattered paint. "Sometimes, it's the messiest strokes that create the most beautiful images." Lucy absorbed his words, a part of her reflecting on her past struggles, the moments that felt overwhelming. "If I can transform my fears into art, maybe I can embrace this journey." Determination surged. She glanced at Tom and Ava, who smiled back at her, their belief igniting her own. She was ready to share her journey, no matter the difficulties that might arise. But as the thrill of planning washed over her, a shadow passed through her mind, lingering like a chill. The cloaked man whispered again, "The murmurs will rise. Be vigilant." Shivers ran down Lucy's spine. Who would bring those doubts? Would they come from friends, family, or from herself? With the unknown looming on the horizon, her resolve solidified, cementing her desire to keep going. "Tomorrow," she announced, her voice firm. "Let's meet. Let's make it happen." And as they began to share ideas and laughter, a spark ignited within Lucy. Her journey had only just begun, and she knew the shadows wouldn't just be whispers. They'd try to drown out her voice. But would she let them? As dawn broke on the day of Lucy's first exhibition, a soft glow settled over the small venue she had worked so hard to create. Tom stood at the entrance, adjusting banners and arranging flower crowns, with an intensity that mirrored his anticipation. He caught sight of Lucy adjusting the fabric that adorned her display, her eyes alive with excitement, mixed with a hint of trepidation. "Are you ready?" he asked, his voice warm and supportive, even as nerves buzzed beneath the surface. "I think so," Lucy replied, the light in her eyes flickering like a candle in the breeze. The venue bustled with energy, guests beginning to filter in, their conversations weaving through the air like ribbons around their hopes for the day. Minutes passed, each one stretching into a heartbeat as her insecurities danced within the gallery's walls. Yet as the first guests began to wander in, admiration flickered across their faces. Lively chatter soon filled the space, blending with the vibrant colors on display. She realized this was more than just the unveiling of her work. It was a celebration of all the struggles, the fears, and the triumphs brought to life through paint and emotion. "Lucy!" A familiar voice broke through her thoughts. Ava approached, glowingly radiant in her enthusiasm. "Everyone is buzzing. You're going to blow them away." Tom, standing nearby, exchanged a proud glance with Ava. "You've got this," he encouraged, his presence steadying her racing heart. With newfound courage, Lucy stepped onto a small platform to address the audience. The room fell silent, all eyes on her, curious, expectant. The weight of their gaze washed over her like the warmth of sunlight, igniting the fire in her spirit. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice trembling slightly but growing stronger with each word. "This exhibition is called Awakening the Colors Within. It represents every bit of joy, fear, love, and pain I've felt. I hope it resonates with you." As she spoke, something shifted. The audience leaned in, their expressions softening, their hearts opening to her journey. She glanced at Tom, whose eyes sparkled with pride, and felt an electric connection to the people in front of her. One by one, guests approached to admire her work, sharing their thoughts and experiences. An elderly woman with lines on her face telling stories of her own touched Lucy's arm gently. "Your pieces remind me to embrace the beauty in life's messiness," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "It's all about connection," Lucy replied, her heart swelling. She felt the weight of doubt lifting, replaced by a surge of acceptance and vulnerability. We all face struggles, but we can find strength through creativity. Suddenly, the cloaked man appeared at the edge of the crowd, his eyes twinkling with a knowing smile. What was once shadowy uncertainty felt like a protective veil. He had warned her about the murmurs of doubt, and she realized the power of the collective experience overshadowed any lingering insecurities. As the evening progressed, laughter and cheers filled the air, echoing throughout the gallery like a warm embrace. Lucy found herself surrounded by new friends, fellow artists, and supporters who believed in her vision. "It's incredible," Tom said, standing beside her. You've touched so many lives tonight, Lucy. Look at how they connect with your art. The crowd enveloped her, vibrant conversations sparking inspiration and joy. Each interaction was a thread woven into the larger tapestry of their collective experiences. In that moment, Lucy recognized the importance of her journey. It was about authenticity, expressing herself freely and lifting others along the way. Yet, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a familiar shadow flickered at the corner of her mind. Suddenly, a voice rang through the laughter, slicing through the warmth with sharp criticism. What makes you think your art matters anyway? The crowd fell silent again. Lucy's heart sank as the whispers spread like wildfire. She recognized the voice, familiar, once comforting, and dread gripped her chest. It takes guts to put yourself out there, but why would anyone care? The voice continued, dripping with disdain. Lucy's stomach twisted. She had seen this moment approach. It was a reality that often threatened to derail the journey. I care, she replied, her heart racing. And so do the people who are here. Art has a way of connecting us, even when life feels uncertain. If my work can encourage even one person, then it matters. With a quick glance, Tom stepped forward, determination lacing his voice. We're all here because we believe in something greater than ourselves. Lucy's art matters. It inspires. It brings joy. That's a gift. The crowd began to murmur again, heads nodding in agreement, their earlier silence morphing into spirited discussions of Lucy's pieces. Lucy felt a surge of gratitude. Through the darkness, they all rallied together, sharing a bond woven from their love for art and the shared vulnerability it held. The cloaked man smiled knowingly, as if satisfied by the turn of events. With each stroke of the brush, Lucy had created not just art, but also a community. The murmurs of doubt faded, replaced by the energetic pulse of hope and connection. Later that night, as she wrapped up the exhibition and said goodbyes, her heart felt full. She turned to Tom, who met her gaze with pure adoration. You were incredible tonight, Lucy. Thank you for believing in me, she said, the warmth radiating through her. There's always going to be doubt, he replied, his eyes earnest. But remember, the light you shine will always be brighter. Together, they stepped outside, the moon hanging high in the indigo sky. It felt like the dawn of new dreams. Look how far we've come, Lucy said, breathing in the night air filled with possibility. Yeah, and we're just getting started, Tom added, laughter spilling forth as they strolled hand in hand, ready to embrace whatever came next. In unity, hope, and deep connections, Lucy discovered not just the power of her art, but the strength of the love that had anchored her along the way. As they walked together, the night was alive with the promise of dreams yet to be probed, stories waiting to be unveiled. Lucy smiled, knowing the journey would continue, her heart once again open to the vibrant colors of this adventurous life. Maybe, just maybe, they would change the world together, one inspired soul at a time. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now. Drop a like to feed the algorithm. Comment your thoughts and feelings about this incredible transformation. Don't wait, not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this inspiring journey.